Hi there, this is Pastor Dave from Glad Tidings and the Embassy of Heaven, and we're going to share with you a happy story. GT stands for Glad Tidings, but in some cases it stands for Great Testimonies. And we have a great testimony here today, a story of God's goodness, and I think it'll really inspire you and encourage you. Mel Versi is here with his wife, Ann, and God did something in their life that just really needs talked about and shared. I want to say this before he starts. There's a saying that there are no such thing as coincidences. A coincidence is just a miracle in which God remains anonymous. And all of us have things that happen in our lives, and God's watching over us, keeping us safe, providing for us many, many things. We need to always take time to be thankful. So Mel and Ann are part of our church family at Glad Tidings, and he shared a story with me that just needs to be shared with you. And so welcome, Mel. This is Mel Versi. His wife, Ann, is here, but she's in the special section where you can listen and be involved but not be on the camera. So welcome to both of you. And Mel, tell us what happened.
Well, as usual, we come down to service on Saturday evenings. And on December 16th, which happened to be my birthday, we were here for the service, sitting as we always do in the last row. And this service was so well attended that they had to add extra chairs. And there was a row put in behind us. When the service concluded, and I was getting up and we were getting ready to leave, the lady sitting behind us grabbed me and said, "I just have to talk to you." She said, "The whole time the service was going on, she said there was this light that shined down on you, and every time you moved, that light moved with you."
That's beautiful, Mel.
And she said, "God spoke to me and told me that you were in a special situation and that I should talk to you. So I'm stopping to ask you if you would mind me explaining to you what God said to me." And I said, "No, fine." And she said, "Well, God said you mentor several people. Some of them don't even realize that you are their mentor." You'll have to excuse me, but this was not a usual event in my life. And I listened to her, and she said, "God asked me to pray over you, that you are a protected individual."
That's beautiful.
And she prayed, and we prayed together, and I went upon my way home to Chico. On our way back was an uneventful trip till just before we got up on the freeway over 8th Street in Chico, when this Corvette was coming like a blast, doing 80 or 90 miles an hour. And we were preparing to get over into the next lane to take the exit at East First Avenue. And I looked down. It was only 18 inches away from our truck. And I have a little truck, not a big full size. And as it was going past, its front wheel was just about even with my front wheel when the entire front end of the Corvette exploded. And of course, as quickly as I could, when the exit lane opened, I got in the exit and looked in my mirror to see this monstrous heap of smoke and cloud. We went down under the freeway and came back around because I knew this car had exploded, and I was afraid that lots of it had probably hit my truck. It sounded like a bomb going off 18 inches away from our heads. When we got back around and I pulled in behind the highway patrolman that was just getting there, the Corvette that was alongside me was another 75 yards down the road on the right-hand side, totally destroyed and totally on fire. The police had looked everything over at the time, and I was out with the young gal that was driving the car that apparently was coming the wrong direction on the freeway. Neither my wife nor I saw anything ahead of us coming at us. I argued for almost 40 minutes with the highway patrolman that there was no car coming towards us. The young lady admitted that she had made a left turn onto the entrance at the Cohasset exit and was going the wrong way. She was inebriated, and her car was destroyed in the front end, and of course the back end of her car didn't have a mark on it. The young man, 21-year-old in the Corvette, was killed instantly. She had a very ripped up right leg from the engine coming back into her car from the collision, and her passenger was critical and taken to the hospital immediately. But had we seen the car coming towards us, we would have slowed down and been in the middle of the wreck instead of being alongside it and in front of it as it actually happened. And I have gone back several nights at the same time at 11:04. I can see a mile ahead of us down the road. Have no idea where that car was because my wife and I never saw it, including when it hit the Corvette. The only thing I saw was the Vette explode, and I was looking at the front end of the Vette when she and the Vette made contact.
Wow. What kind of a vehicle was she driving? Just a sedan?
A sedan.
Yeah. So you were going, what, maybe 60 miles an hour?
I was doing 65. The Vette was doing, I would say, between 80 and 90.
So he came screaming up behind you, and
he was alongside me in the fast lane.
Yeah, but you knew he was going fast. Were you watching him in your rear mirror?
Yes, that's why I had watched him in the rearview mirror because he got on the highway. There were no cars behind us until he and a car behind him got on, and they got on, I believe, at 20th Street, which is the next exit.
So you were driving full speed on Highway 99, and you saw him coming up beside you or behind you, and then he came alongside of you, and then everything exploded. But she was coming the wrong way on 99 with no lights
No
on.
headlights, no.
And you never saw that at all. So you actually were arguing your case with the highway patrol.
Even through the interview the next Monday, I told the Highway Patrol they were totally wrong. And I have reviewed all of the news coverage photos and the Highway Patrol photos. There is not one mark on the back end of her car.
It's amazing.
Because I thought that she had a flat tire explode because I saw debris. I was watching the rearview mirror because the Corvette was so close to us.
Yeah.
It was really riding on the line right next to us.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the rearview mirror, and the explosion happened right under my rearview mirror right next to us.
Wow.
And the pieces went everywhere. The Highway Patrol that was there, he examined my car as best he could at midnight. And then I did the next morning. There is not one scratch.
That's amazing.
Not even a blemish on the dust on the side of my truck.
That is amazing. And so was it difficult for him to believe you had been there, and particularly that
yes.
close? I imagine it was, yeah.
Yes, but the other witnesses that were a half mile back, basically on the highway, saw that I was there.
Right.
So there was no problem there. And they just simply said, for some reason, the car coming towards you was invisible.
Wow. Now, if you had seen it, you would have slowed down and wound up been right in the middle.
I would have been, yes. And it was on the bridge over 8th Street.
Wow.
There was no way for us to get over or anything.
Yeah.
We'd have just been in the middle of it. Because when she hit the Corvette, she did a somersault over the top of the Corvette. and ended up on her side facing the proper direction on the side of the freeway.
Wow.
The vet carried on for another basic 100 yards, and it was just rubble, just a little pile of rubble.
Wow. Well, what a terrible accident, but what an amazing story of God's love for you and Anne and sovereign protection. It's really logistically and in terms of the laws of physics, it's really impossible for you to have been that close to such a major explosion and been completely untouched.
There was, well, as the lady did say when she was talking to me before, when the service ended at Glad Tidings, she said I would be protected.
Mel, that's beautiful, my friend. You would be protected, and you were, weren't you?
Something totally was surrounding us, or we would have been killed.
Yeah.
Because if either of those cars had moved towards us, it would have pushed us off the bridge and down onto 8th Street.
Wow.
Onto Highway 32.
Wow. So God just had you apparently that column of light that was over you stayed over you and just protected you. Now, it's interesting because we have a lot of verses in the Bible that he'll be like a wall of fire round about his people. And there's many verses about him being a guard, a surround to keep us safe. But what an amazing testimony, and how kind of God. You might have gone through that and been amazed and everything, but how kind of God to speak to this woman, which at this point we still don't know who it is. Just
no, I really failed in that regard. I didn't give her my name, and I did not ask her.
Well, when you see her again, point her out. And the possibility is that you'll never see her again because she was not actually a GT member in terms of flesh and blood. Could have been an angel. Remember, the Bible says you never know when you'll encounter an angel and be unaware of it. But we've had a number of experiences like that where someone shows up, brings a message from God, and then we never see him again. But if you do, point her out to me. I'd love to meet her, just thank her for being sensitive to the Holy Spirit.
I'd love to talk to her again.
Yeah, and what a happy birthday for you, huh?
Oh, unbelievable.
Not just that God kept you safe in a very intense and dangerous setting, but that he just affirmed that he knew you, he loved you, he was thankful for the influence that you were having on others. What a wonderful birthday present that must be. So Mel, tell us a little bit about you. You're from Chico. You're driving down from Chico to come to GT and have been for a while. But tell us just a little bit about your background, what you've done with your life. I know you ran a gun shop, but just fill us in a little bit so we know more about you.
I owned Chico Gun Shop for about 30 years until I retired. I also had a production company that did hunting and fishing shows, and I also had the world's #1 selling bass lure that I manufactured. My company was Cato Lures.
Wow.
Which we shipped all over the world. And I've kind of had a busy life. I retired because my daughters, my two oldest, my daughter and my wife's daughter, were both basketball players, and they were at Bidwell Junior High, and they needed another coach.
Oh, wow.
So I just closed everything up, quit.
What a good dad. That is.
And I coached them through high school at Pleasant Valley High School. They both received top full ride scholarships to college for basketball.
That's awesome.
And for their school.
For their
academics, yes.
Wow.
And been retired basically 39 years.
Yeah. You've been retired from the gun shop.
I've been retired from everything except
serving God.
Yeah. Serving life, serving my family.
Right. That's a beautiful thing, Mel. And again, how awesome for God to confirm that. The Bible tells us that there's no such thing as coincidence in our life, that God knows even the number of hairs on our head, all the details of our life. He sees the end from the beginning. He promises that he will always be with us, that we never have to worry about anything, because he loves us more than we'll ever be able to imagine or understand. And he watches over the details of our life. And so what a wonderful story. Thank you for coming in and sharing it, Mel. Stories like these, they need to be rehearsed. They need to be spread. People need to know there is a God. He cares about us. I imagine nothing ever quite like this has happened to you that you knew about. But probably there are a lot of incidents in eternity where God will show you, Mel, I was with you on that. This, you didn't understand this, but the angels intervened to keep you safe, to bless you, to watch over you, both for you and for your family. That's the truth of what happens in the unseen realm, which, though it's invisible, it is all around us. And we have heavenly messengers that watch over us. They bring us messages from God, which clearly happened to you. Even if we find out that the woman that spoke to you is a regular member of the church, she still was prompted with a message from heaven. And thankfully shared that, was bold enough to share that. We all need to learn to do that, because God speaks to us, and we need to learn to be obedient for our sake, because we learn to partner with God, but also for the sake of others like you, whose life was really changed by getting that message and then seeing it play out, and God being there for you in a critical moment, which apart from God's intervention, you and Ann likely would not have either survived an accident like that.
And since this, I had to put two and two together, because with the trauma of the accident and everything, I never gave any thoughts to what had happened down here. But it has made me reflect on several things in my life. I laid in a hospital bed in Enloe in 1970, terminal, keep comfortable, for 39 days.
Wow.
And at the end of that time, something intervened, and I was transferred down to Mount Zion Hospital in San Francisco, medevac down, and I was home 14 days later.
Wow. You said something intervened, but we could say someone intervened, couldn't we?
Well, Mrs. Jessie, who was superintendent of nurses, intervened with my father, who was there every day, all day in my hospital room, and told him that the doctors are not telling you the truth. It's not that he's getting better. It's that he's terminal.
Wow.
And I did end up, from that, a morphine addict, because they had me $1,000 a day on morphine back in 1970, which has had no effect on my life since then.
Yeah.
And there are two or three other incidences that I should not have lived through either.
Yeah.
In my life. And I reflect on all of those now.
I bet you do. And so we see it lived out in Mel's life. We have a great adversary, the devil. He comes to steal and kill and destroy. But more significantly, we have a God who loves us. He's a good Heavenly Father. He watches over us. He commands the army angels of heaven, innumerable hosts, and he watches over all the details of our lives. And so we should have confidence in that. I believe that we're pretty well bulletproof until God is finished with us. And so I want to encourage you to be cognizant of the details of your life. Sometimes we just kind of blunder through life and we think, oh, that was a close call, or what a coincidence. But that's not true. Remember that a coincidence is a sometimes a small miracle, but a miracle in which God chooses to be anonymous. And then once in a while in life, we get something like Mel got for his birthday, where God shows up and tells you, I'm watching over you. The light of heaven is shining on your path. I'm happy with you, and I'm happy enough to make sure that I'm going to keep you safe from this terrible accident that you're about to face, because you still have much more to do in my kingdom. So I want to thank you, Mel, for coming in and sharing that story. Maybe you have a happy story, and if you do, share it with people. I was so thankful that Mel shared this with Cheryl. Cheryl came up and said, Mel has an amazing testimony. You have to hear it. And I'm so glad I heard it. But, you know, the ancient Hebrew word for testimony, Mel, is a cry for God to do it again. And when we hear what God did in your life, we think, well, you know, God's our Father too. He'll protect us too. He'll help us too. So I think one of the best things we can do is share our stories, our happy stories. And so we want to thank you for coming in. Again, Mel Versi and his wife, amazing story of God's goodness, and came to you on your birthday. How cool is that?
Amazing. Yeah. Just amazing.
All right. Thank you for joining us for GT's Happy Stories. God bless you.